Cool beans. So I'm now going to cross post absolutely everywhere that I am actually live. Ooh, look, it's all shaky. Trying to make sure everything's all good. Excellent. Okay, so what we got today is I have my little checklist of... Oh no, don't tell me the stream froze. There we are. I have my little checklist of inks that I need to... It's basically just the samples in this box. And then I'm just going in order. It's that simple. Let me do a thing real quick for my own personal ink all my stuff. This isn't like me actually really this is me actually doing the review live, and because I review it by basically writing out a bunch of words and inking up and stuff. You get the real time. Isn't this exciting? It's what you signed up for, right? If you have any questions about the pens I'm using and like why I'm using them in the papers, I've explained it a couple times. It always takes forever, so I always do. So you can go to my blog, which is okay, are we back on? Cool, I think we're back on. Sorry guys. My internet was just like, nope. Cool. My bad. Don't know what was going on there. But yeah, anyway. So, but Ink Dependence Mike actually just threw this up there in one of his Friday streams, and it has a bonkers sheen on it. Like, it's stupid. It's like if you took sweet potato purple and just like sheened it. Where's the, so I'm going to put the sample kind of up in the corner. And then I want to take my swatch card and put it up here so you guys can see what I'm working with at a time. There we go. So Diamine Handel, I don't know if you could see this in the swatch, but it's got like this crazy green sheen. It's awesome. I haven't actually used it like for writing it because I've just got so much sorry, I was refreshing things to make sure things registered. Just because I haven't, like, this is part of the reason why I'm doing ink reviews, is because I have all these ink samples laying around that I'm not using. So that's what I'm doing. Where's my Hippo Noto? Cool. And then pencil. Here it went. Sorry, I was looking for this little blotting paper thing. That I use to keep my hand oils from fucking up the paper. You came here in time, Raoul, because there was like a weird connectivity issue and stuff at the beginning, and it was good no one was here because it wasn't a fun time. Exactly. Didn't happen. It might have produced like little MIDI clips that I'll just delete later, but it's all good. So, the fun story I am gonna be copying today from the local newspaper, which is what I do for the writing samples, is some bonkers shit that's been going on with the state politics. It's like wild. Like, the headlines I've seen, it's like, oh, this lawmaker had to step down after saying incredibly racist things and dropping his pants on TV. And you're like, what? Oh, God. Yep, no, it was a very 2018 story, but like, jeez. So what I'm noticing right away is in this dry pen, it's that it's like, it writes fine, but it's not like a wet noodle. Like, I'd be fine with this in this pen. I wouldn't want to empty it out immediately, but it's like not ideal. God damn it, did it crap out again? Twitch shows me as being offline and live at the same time, so I don't know. I'm just gonna let it sit for a little bit and figure it shit out while I go to the bathroom. Okie dokie, I'm back, and maybe the stream is back. I'm so confused. It looks like my stream is back. I think we're good. I'm just making sure. All things look okay. I'm just gonna keep going. And Twitch be damned. Because these are gonna eventually be scanned in post. Yeah, see, this is why I'm confused, because on my little, like, counter thing down here, there's a lot more. Okay, now, everything's refreshing at slightly different rates, which is leading, and I have multiple screens up so I can see different stats and things at once. And it's very confusing because normally they're all in sync with each other and there's just some sort of weird lag thing going on. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, it's weird. It's going down like really wet and crisp, but then when it's drying, it looks a lot more dusty. It's strange. I don't know, like it's a good color overall, but I'm not a fan of inks that look, that like as they dry radically change color. It weirds me out a bit. Mm-hmm. I can spell today. Spelling is fun. Huh, so like with the sweet potato purple, the cream made it look more purple versus the white paper or the off-white paper of the Kikuyu campus is bringing out a lot more of the red undertones. So I don't know what it is about cream paper and this particular shade of like red purple, but makes it a little weird. So the cynic in me is wondering if there would be this massive outcry for this guy to resign if he had only yelled racial slurs. Like, hadn't dropped his pants. Because it seems like the dropping his pants is what did it for all these people. I mean, it is Georgia. We're the people that had that primary. I don't know. I think this made national news, but there was one of the GOP governors, candidates. He didn't make it to the runoff, but he literally like rented or bought a school bus and like painted it so it was the deportation bus, and it was taking people to the border and driving this down around the immigrant neighborhoods of Atlanta, like the Mexican neighborhoods in Atlanta. Yeah, I purposely on Twitter don't follow, like, I don't follow a lot of national news sources, or like, well, I do follow national news sources, but I try and only follow, like, I don't follow just like personalities that have made themselves from making, like, made names for themselves by like making inflammatory tweets. I try and follow like news sources that I are deemed fairly like less sensational, more just like just the facts, ma'am, and then the local stuff, which is how I heard about this, was because I follow the reporter that wrote this, because he's like the main political reporter for the local newspaper, and he was just like, what is this headline I even wrote? I don't understand. When I'm like, fair. Like, this is a little much even for 2018. Yeah, this came out, like, you can see here that, like, it's about the same color. Oh, this will show up better in the scans. But, it's much more red up here with the dry and the medium flow, and in the wet, it's just like, boosh, purple. Because that's what wet nibs do. As I keep writing with this in this pen, it's becoming less and less pleasant, so it seems like it was only nice when the feed was freshly primed, and other than that, it's getting eh. Which, I mean, it's not uncommon for me with Diamine inks to experience that in dry pens, because I've never really had a wet Diamine ink. I've had good flowing, and I've had like okay, like medium flow ones and dry ones. So I'm not surprised. However, this is like an absolutely lovely ink in this fire hose fine nib. Just, I think because it is a little darker, so it makes it a little more readable, and it's just, the wet flow is always good. And because it's a slightly drier ink in a fire hose nib, it kind of evens it out a little bit. It's like the dry as dust pelican inks even out the fire hoses that are pelicans. Okay. So that's it for Diamine Handel. I'm going to add that stream marker saying so that way I know later that this is where I started cleaning the pen. I don't know what's up with the Diamine like special sets, because they're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It's very confusing. And some of them are original inks, and some of them are just repackaged inks. And it's very strange. Like, I can see that yes, those would make great gift sets to gift to someone if you are inclined, unlike my family and the way we do gifts, it tends to be more quantity rather than just like one big expensive gift. Like, you have to really specify, I only want this one big expensive thing, which is getting frustrating as I'm getting older, because like the things that I would like to ask for as gifts are things that I normally wouldn't be able to afford, but they're still like would take up all the gift budget, and my parents are not ones to do that. And I would much rather, and like the cheaper stuff that I send them is like stuff I would just buy by myself. Ugh. But there are so many purple inks that are so good. And there's all sorts of purples. There's like the blurples and the red purples and the true purples. I'm just going to leave this out. Okay, so now we're going to clean. Like, there's so many, like, look how many fucking blues are on the market. Yet, no one's complaining about another blue. Go for all the purple. I'm gonna go rinse these under the sink real quick. I'll be right back. Whatever you just sent there, Roel, I think that's a custom emoji or something, but it's just coming up as a black box on my screen. There we go, it loaded. There's a mercy. Twitch is just having problems today, because I was like, I can tell it's gonna be an emoji once it loads. I don't even play Overwatch. I just, honestly, Mercy's the only one that I actually know their name, because just for some reason that's just made the round. Whoa. So I just dropped, you see how this is green, right? On the screen, and this is a purple ink. That's the color of the sheen. Like it went into water green. What is this? Like there is a purple tinge to it that is much more apparent. Like the green is showing up much more green on the camera than it is in real life. But just like what the hell? Are there legit like green pigments in there? What is happening with this ink? Like purple ink. I did not have a like this isn't like residue from another green. I've reviewed at this point. Actually, I can count. Where's my little bookie thing? I've reviewed 10 inks with this pen. None of them have been green so far. So this can't be green residue because this has gotten washed and everything. Like what the hell? Like this is the green it sheens. So I don't know if this is like Rome burning where it changes color on water contact. I'm just fascinated. And I will say, like, the camera, it looks straight up green. From my angle, seeing it in real life, it is like this purple on my finger. A little more dilute. So what the hell light photon magic is going on here? I don't know. But this is like, what the hell? There. Try and have it so you can like kind of see everything I'm doing on the screen, even if it's just little bits of it. I'm just my mind. I'm also wondering what camera magic, like what filters are happening here, because it looks very green on the camera, and it like there's green tint to it now, but it's mostly distributed. It's mostly back to purple here. So I wonder if this is like the dress thing where it depended on the lighting and monitor rendering and all that fun stuff. Yeah, and it's coming out of the converter's green. Like it looks like bright spinach green on the monitor. This is bonkers. I'm gonna have to ask Denise if she's done chromatography of this, or anyone really, if they've done chromatography of this. Like what the hell? I'm just perplexed. Yeah, and it like looks green on the camera when I poured it in here, but it's definitely purple. I wonder if I change the angle, does that change anything? I don't know, man. Maybe it's like UV reactive? Because that does happen with purples, where you see the purple. Whoa. Sorry, I'm just mesmerized by the fact that it's all like green on the screen, and it's so not green here. It must be a UV thing, because the camera does not capture UV. Sorry, I'm confused because you know what, this is useless watching. So I have the like Twitch like control dashboard back here behind like my output window, but it's giving me a less accurate feed than the OBS output. So I'm just gonna make that bigger. And yeah, well, we're just gonna do that. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's a UV thing because these cameras don't capture light, or they don't capture UV. And we've dropped down to 0, which probably means no, just drop frame. I don't know. But yeah, this is a little Yeah. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Is that, yeah, UV isn't captured by these cameras. Your eye perceives it and those emissions, but that isn't, like, that's why it's really hard when you have, like, like something that glows. Like, when you have, like that neon or traffic cone orange that seems to glow to you, the reason is because it's, like, borderline UV emissions. But you can't capture that with a camera because your camera doesn't see that. It's not processing that. It's both not capturing that and not processing it in the same way your brain is. And so that, I think, is what's happening here, is that we're getting a UV emission that's mixing with the green emission and making something real funky that the camera is just simply unable to capture, and that purple is the UV emission. Especially that makes sense because purple is the color next to UV. That's why it's called, UV is short for ultraviolet. Which I wonder how this will scan. Because I remember being surprised when I put up a scan, because this is one of the inks I compared with Sweet Potato Purple in comparison swabs. And the sheen actually showed up really well in the scan, which normally sheen doesn't, unless it's bonkers. Well, this does have bonkers sheen. That was helpful. So I wonder just the whole thing, if it will scan, what'll happen. Though the scanning light doesn't have the full daylight spectrum that's hitting it. It doesn't have, the scanning light doesn't have UV, and so what's happening here with the color would be UV light's hitting it, and then it's emitting at a slightly lower frequency. And if you don't have UV, like, I wonder if I took this into, like, if we just did like a regular old incandescent light bulb that doesn't have that UV aspect, what I would see. Like, would it be all green? Like, would I be seeing all green in this bowl? And hell, even like with this one, when I filled it, it turned all green. That could be because the plastic filters out UV, which makes sense for a demonstrator because UV does damage pigments and degrade pigments. This is my science knowledge I am imparting on you. This is what happens when you watch a stream of someone who actually knows a bit of chemistry and how that works. Instead of just saying science stuff, I'd be like, blah, 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 stuff. And half people watching are like, they said science things. Which, I mean, fair. Okay. Let's moving that out of the way. And then I should check this off that I did this one. So we're on a purple kick right now because Denise sent me a bunch of purples. So the next one we're gonna do... Oh, I shouldn't have closed the dashboard because I need to do that to put in those little time stamper thingies. Next one is going to be Diamine Bilberry. If I have that spelled right. 1L. See, this is why I checked. Then update. Ta-da. Yes, purple fire. Purple fire emojis. Why are these excellent emojis not I don't have a purple fire emoji on my phone. I don't know if it's a Twitch thing or an Apple thing, but it needs to get ported universally, so everyone has purple fire emoji. Yes, we're gonna do a hard swing from the like reddish. Yeah, but see, it's a Twitch emoji. The point still stands that everyone should have a purple fire emoji. Like, spread the purple fire, love. Though I guess it is from Spyro, so like that's the origin, but whatever. Everyone needs a purple fire emoji. That's the point I'm trying to make. The purple heart is standard. I tend to favor the yellow heart personally, but that's because yellow is my favorite color. But yeah, the fact that there should be every color of the rainbow for both hearts and fire. And that way, also, if like you play D&D or any sort of game where you're a wizard and you could have cool colored fire, or any game where you could have cool colors of fire, and you're partial to a color. Wait, what's bleeding? The yellow hearts? If yellow heart's a bleeding heart, that message was lost on me. Bleeding heart isn't really a term. Like, I've seen it like in books, but I have almost never heard it used in actual life. So I don't know if it's like a regionalism or something. But yeah. But the point is, everyone needs to have all the colors of fire and all the colors of hearts, because rainbows are fun. Oh. So you only have one purple emoji, or one purple heart emoji. Again, I don't know if that's an Apple thing or a Twitch thing. I'm selfishly glad that my yellow hearts, I wasn't unintentionally sending bleeding hearts to people, because that would have been awkward. Here's our swatch. This is in rainbow order, but sometimes I forget what exact shade of color is, so I'm looking in the complete wrong section of the ring. It happens. Diamine Bilberry. So this is what I call a blurple, but some people just call this violet versus purple. I don't know. I just temporarily forgot how to spell Noto. The N escaped me. Hey, Rescue Monkey. Yeah, Twitch was being dumb for a little bit. Going in and out. And I had to refresh screens of mine personally a couple times. But yeah, but at least I found that when there's internet connectivity problems or server problems, Twitch is better at it than YouTube, which is bad because this isn't like the greatest. But Twitch is better at rebooting itself. Probably because all the gamers would have an uproar and like hack like DDoS Twitch if it wasn't good. So yeah, for those... Sorry, I can't talk and write at the same time, which makes these videos not necessarily the greatest because I'm writing a lot. For those just joining us, aka Rescue Monkey, or anyone that's watching this later and just skipped ahead in the timestamp, we are copying an article from today's newspaper about a state house member in Georgia who is refusing to step down despite yelling racial slurs and dropping his pants on a TV show. Even though he got defeated in his primary and is going to be leaving his post in a couple months anyway, and the legislative session for the state of Georgia is over. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Of course, this somehow got incorporated into the GOP governor's runoff. Both the ones running, it's the Secretary of State and the Lieutenant Governor, and they're both bonkers. And they're just becoming more and more bonkers because they're trying to win over all the Trump voters. And so they're just, going batshit. Oh, racing to the bottom. They're, past the bottom. They're digging holes. Yeah, Rescue Monkey, I have that setting on that you can't chat unless you verify your email because there's a lot of... I'm very wary of the gamer community, especially as a queer female. Yeah, Gamergate was only a couple years ago and nothing's been done to address it, so I want to avoid as many trolls and spam bots as possible. What are you doing, Casey Cagle, flying around the state of Georgia? Georgia's a decently sized state, but it's not that big. Not that you have to fly around it. It only takes maybe 3 hours to get anywhere driving from Atlanta. Stream having issues again? No, it's not. Who knows? Oh, it is having issues. Hey! Oh, yay, it's back. Cool. All I needed to do was type. God damn it. And we're back. Oh, he remains in office through the general election, because technically, even though he lost the primary, like, the actual election hasn't happened. Like, I don't... Dude, you lost. The legislative session is over. So I am copying an article from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Basically the reason I'm doing these ink reviews is one, I am not, like, since I graduated, I'm not using my pens and ink and everything nearly as much, and so it's gathering dust. And then two, I subscribe to my local newspaper because I support it, but I just, like, got out of the habit of reading it. And I wanted to write something because I prefer seeing, like, long-form writing for ink reviews. So I wanted to copy something. And so this is a way for me to actually read my local paper and also do ink reviews. Like, get me to use my pens and ink. So yeah, that's what I'm copying down. And this is why we're talking about nutso Georgia politics, because that's what I'm copying an article about. I'm sorry, I can't. Writing things and talking at the same time is a skill I do not have. I got the idea from Mountain of Ink, because she copies passages from The Hobbit. So I considered copying passages from a book, but I was like, I'm going to get bored with that real quick. And then I was like, the whole point of why I want to do this is to use my pens and ink more. And so let's also use this as a vehicle to, like, read something that I want to read more. And I figured what the other ideas I played around with were, but I landed on the local paper and I was like, that's a good idea because I do subscribe. Because support your local paper, that's how you found out about all this bad shit. Stuff. Oh god, I remember Florida politics. Florida politics were just as bad as Georgia politics. I'm very confused because the guy who said the slurs and dropped his pants on TV is saying that the reason he did it is because the guy who was producing the TV show took advantage of his paralyzing fear that his as in the house member, his family would be attacked. You, like, someone was blackmailing you to drop your pants on television? I really doubt that. So yeah, this Bilberry is one of those that in a wet noob comes out looking basically black. Like, you could get away with this in a work setting, no problem. Also, it flows amazing in all the pens. Very nice. They're trying to avoid calling a special session to oust the guy from office. I guess if I were a lawmaker, I'd think, yeah, I would probably want to step down after exposing myself for running around in gym naked on television while shouting obscenities. Cling to your useless couple months of non-power, yes, since you already were voted out of office. Esports is fancy for video games. It's dropped to 0 again, which means Twitch is having problems. Because I know you guys are watching. See, I'm flipping back and forth because I have it... There we are. I don't know what's going on because on the behind the scenes one it says I have 0 viewers. On the front end one it says I have 4 viewers. And I know I have at least 3 because I'm viewing the front end one. And Royal Rescue Monkey, you're both in the chat. Hey! Oh, Twitch, you're being so strange. There we go. Okay, here we're getting the juicy details of what actually happened. Okay, so it appears... I don't know how familiar you guys are with Sacha Baron Cohen. He's the guy who did Borat. That's his thing is impersonating wild parodies and getting people to do ridiculous shit. And so this was part of this. He was impersonating, he was really military expert and saying, oh, this state house person needs to do all these things in order to, as part of a counterterrorism video. Like, excuse me? Yes. The show on Showtime. And so the Congress or House person, like, yes, people have in the past done crazy shit for Sacha Baron Cohen's stuff. But, like, to then go and, like, say to the press, justifying, well, I did it because I feared an inevitable attack on my family and this would save their lives. I'm like, does not compute. What the hell? I will say this ink has like zero shading and zero sheen, but it is a lovely color. And it's gloriously flowing. Just like joy to write with. And definitely in a gusher could pass as black. You could sneak this into an office. Probably. And honestly, like, even if you have it in a dryer pen, it's close enough to like a blurble that people might mistake it for blue. Like, I've had that happen with Private Reserve Tanzanite, which is a similar shade of purple, where people are like, oh, it's a lovely blue, and I'm like, that's a purple, but okay. Okay, so time to clean out. I swear, every time I go and add a stream marker, it's like it's like, oh yes, you've been streaming for 8 minutes, now you've been streaming for 3, now for 20, and I'm like, Twitch, what are you doing? I'm gonna have like a bazillion tiny videos that I'm gonna have to export. Or like stitch together or something somehow. The point of doing the live stream is that I don't have to do that. Yeah, pretty much. It's like you tried, Twitch. You really did. Okay. Trying to like lay all this out everywhere without like spilling anything. So precarious. Okay. I need to go refill this with water and rinse these off under the sink, so I will do that and be right back. I love the giant, like, octopus monster thing. It's like my favorite Twitch emote. See, now this one isn't turning green. Unlike Diamine Handel, this one's just purple. And yes, Rescue Monkey, this big green dredges, that's from purple ink with green sheen. Like, there's some weird light chemistry going on there. Yes, it is Aqua. She's very mad that I'm talking, clearly, and she is in her cage. But she has been very needy today. And just very clingy, and so she would not behave and just sit on my shoulder while doing this. She would demand all my attention be on her. And on days like today, and days when she's like that, it's like, well, you're gonna be in your cage, or I'm gonna be devoting my whole attention to you. That's what you get, because that's what can happen. That's how I can happen. I do need to do my own things too. And she's in like the other room. She's like as far away as it is possible to be away from me in this one bedroom apartment. But no, she's very loud. Of course, after I tell you about Aqua, she's like, oh, I'm gonna shut up now. I don't know, maybe she like realized I was talking about her and was like, oh wait. Honestly, like, because I'm just used to living with her, like, my brain just relegates Aqua chirping to the background. Like, I don't notice it. Like, on BYOB, when it was like, oh, I hear Aqua, and I'm like, oh, wait, you heard Aqua. I just, like, am so used to, like, when I know she's good, she's, like, in her cage, or, like, she'll, like, sleeping in a blanket or something, like, I know I don't have to worry about her. Or, like, she makes very specific chirps. So, like, I know which ones to ignore and which ones I'm, like, should pay attention to, just subconsciously. So, like, I'm like, wait, Aqua chirped during this episode? I didn't hear her. Because I just tuned it out. Which I realize probably means that, like, when I'm on phone calls with, like, tutoring clients or something like that, they could probably hear in the background and are like, what's going on? And I'm like, and I just don't even notice. It's like, oh, yes, professional, like, Skype interview or something. And it's like, oh, yep, sorry. My bird is going to be part of this, whether you want her to be or not. Because there's only so far away she can go in the apartment. And she is very loud. Tiny bird, big voice. Ah, someone followed me. Except I made the alert too small for me to be able to read. I need to fix that. So whoever just followed me, I see that you followed me, and I thank you for that. But I could not read it at all. This is me, like, desperately clicking towards things. My thing says I have the same amount of people that follow me, but, you know, hey, I don't know. I had a little thingy drop in my thing. It was exciting. I'll see who you were after that, but yep, I did not see it. Because the way Streamlabs OBS is set up, it's actually very hard. Like, it's the widget testing doesn't really work in the edit mode if you're set up for Twitch. It works for YouTube, but for Twitch, just like the buttons won't go through. I don't know why. It's very frustrating. So now that I know I needed to make that a lot bigger, I did. Okay. So next on our list is, we're just going to continue with the purple theme, because the next one is, drumroll, Monteverde Chariote. It's like basically the same color, but that's just the order that the samples were in the box. That's my very official sampling system, or order that I've decided on. Oh, I should probably get the paper. You know, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna stop or not after this one, but if I do another one after this, it's gonna be Girbon Poisson de Lune, which is another purple. Okay. Also updating stream title. Da, da, da. Had a thing that I was gonna hit. There we are. Yeah. I think they're just rolling all over my desk. Oh, really? I wasn't even expecting it. This was just, Denise was gonna send me, like, we'd agreed to trade samples. And, like, the Diamine Handel, and, like, there was Parker Blue Black, and, like, stuff I'd requested, and I gave her stuff. And then took her a bit to send the package, because she has a chronic illness. So that put her down, but as a result, she was like, I'm gonna make it up for you by including all these random samples in here. And I was like, okay, sure. And it was basically a crap ton of purples. And I was like, I will not argue. It smells like disinfectant. Like lab disinfectant. Oh, and if you see me filling these ink samples from vials, this is why I can deal with like 2 milliliter samples or a milliliter sample, because this is a skill I learned from filling things in the lab, which is holding it in one hand and being able to like basically syringe it up. and like keep angling it precariously so it all covers the breather hole. Those are lab dexterity skills. And honestly, the only reason I get ink all over my hands is from wiping the ink off the actual pen, not any sort of spillage when I fill. And also, I'm just one of those people that just naturally gets shit everywhere. It's like a talent. I'm not quite sure how I manage it every time. I have a text. It is my mom. Okay, not an important text from my mom. Just like 2 texts from my mom. I should check that. Nope. Okay. Just commentary on the absurd number of Amazon boxes that have arrived at my apartment. Because instead of... So my birthday is next Friday. And instead of her, like, buying presents from Amazon and shipping them to her so she can wrap them and reship them to me, what we agreed is she has them shipped to me and just puts her name on the box so I know that it's a present from her, and I just don't open it until my birthday. It's basically the Amazon box is the wrapping, but Amazon, instead of decide, or whatever box she ordered from a couple different places, but Amazon, instead of deciding to put all the stuff she ordered from Amazon in one box, there's literally 5 Amazon boxes. And I'm like, this couldn't have all gone in one box. One of them is very obviously a folding table, and okay, that makes sense. They basically just shipped it, like, just put it straight back into the mail and slapped a shipping label on it. But the rest of it, it's like, I'm pretty sure these all could have fit in one box. Yeah, it is Purple Day, apparently. Which means that when these post, it's going to be purple 2 weeks, because I have it so I post 2 a week. Okie dokie. Where did I leave off? Yeah, so we're getting back to this nutso political story. just reading the... I gotta read this for you. So, one of the things the State House person was convinced to do was pull down his pants and shimmy his naked buttocks towards purported attackers as part of a counterterrorism video while yelling USA and America. He was told these tactics would ward off homophobic militants. So shaking your ass and yelling America is a counterterrorism tactic. I can't. I mean, that is true, Rebel. It's like, oh, middle-aged white guy from the South yelling America at you while shaking his butt at you is frightening. I don't know how effective it is as a counterterrorism technique, but it is frightening. What's almost offensive is that he believed that these tactics would quote-unquote ward off homophobic militants, which implies that he thought that shaking his ass and yelling America is somehow attractive to gay men, or bisexual men. Men attracted to men. And it's just like, no, honey. Don't think so. Oh, this is good. Special after credits scene where that's a message to a terrorist where he returns on camera and then basically shouts racist things while stabbing a knife into the groin area of a dummy clad in a burqa. Wow. Jesus. And then after he does that, he reminds the audience that he's an elected official serving in the Georgia legislature. Oh my god. Georgia. Why? I'm just like exhausted like reading this article. On the ink isn't quite as wet as the Diamine Bilberry, but it's of a very similar shade. It's actually probably better that's a slightly less of a gusher, just because it's not as likely to like bleed through all the things. heard about the other one too. Let's get you to agree to back a program a fictitious program that teaches kindergartners to use firearms for protection in schools, which honestly is a more realistic solution than that one actual school district in, what was it, Pennsylvania or something, that was like, we're gonna arm our classroom with rocks. Buckets of rocks. I'm like, excuse me? Yeah, this one doesn't appear quite as, like, black passing as the Diamine one. In a wet nib, that is. Yes, against an automatic rifle. Rocks. Oh no. The guy's thinking of suing the show's producers because they took advantage of his fears that he would be attacked by someone. Common sense, dude. Common sense. Yeah, no, this one in the wet nib looks a lot more just straight up purple rather than faux black. I'm just imagining if he actually goes to sue, just the judge's face when he pleads the argument, being like, are you serious? And for some reason, I'm picturing like an older older black male judge that just like shifts his glasses down on the bridge and be like, it gives him side eye, be like, really? Okay. And with that, I'm going to set this over to the side. And I'm actually getting pretty hungry because it's about 7 p.m. here. So I'm going to go get myself some dinner. Thank you for joining me. I'm technically not done with this article yet, like reading it, but I think I know all I need to know at this point. Just what even? Oh god. Okay, thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll be able to export all of this to YouTube in sort of one clean slice. I might have to patch things together, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Bye!